Hello and welcome back to ITWeb TV at the Security Summit 2024. I'm joined now by Dinesh Govender, who is president of ISC2 Gauteng Chapter. Dinesh, welcome.
Well, Adrian, welcome, and thanks a lot to the team. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So I think let's start. If you can just give us a brief intro to yourself and to what ISC2 is for the people that don't know.
Right. So myself, a security professional, started out in engineering, doing IT support, supporting networks, and then became a defender of systems. Very technical, and currently heading up security for a large organization.
Okay.
I run cybersecurity as well as the networks. But my passion, obviously, is giving back to the community, and that's where my involvement with ISC2 came in.
Okay.
So I'm so used to saying ISC2, but globally the company has been rebranded to ISC2.
Okay.
People are always worried about the mathematical brackets. And
Okay.
So it's a blurb. It's the International Information System Certification Consortium.
Okay.
Which is a global organization, and founded in 1989, actually, the first security professional body in the world. Founded in the United States. There were some entities from US government, huge companies like Microsoft and a couple other role players got together to decide what is excellence in security, because now we're starting to move. 1989 is still early days. Internet only came to South Africa in 93.
Sure.
But 89 already in the US, it was how do we secure systems? They already had incidents of hacking, even using the old technology. So ISC2 got together. Most famous organization there was NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology in the US. Came together and they put together a standard together with all the stakeholders. And that resulted in our first certification called the CISSP.
Okay.
So a Certified Information System Security Professional. I passed my exam in 2004, one of the first cohorts in South Africa. And ISC2 has a community-based system where independent companies are registered as NGOs around the world.
Okay.
In many cities around the world, and Gauteng was the first African chapter to be registered. And I was just an ordinary member for years, just volunteering, and became president in 2020. So that is the community part of ISC2. Our aim is to create a secure digital world, but we largely focused on skills and what is excellence in execution in the industry.
Okay. So skills is the kind of key focus.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome. So we've got a certification program. There's a vetting program. It supports security professionals, but the community aspect cannot be downplayed in any way. Rene Ross, our global CEO of ISC2, started the Center for Cyber Safety and Education. iamcybersafe.org. So if anyone gets a chance, go to iamcybersafe.org. And you'll see the cybersecurity initiatives to protect the average person in the street, scholars, university students, how to raise awareness about cyber threats.
Okay.
So on.
And I think that's probably something that's desperately needed in this country. Let's talk about the kind of professional skills first, and then maybe if we've got time, we can come on to sort of more general cyber awareness amongst the community, the wider community. So, widely reported, we have a cyber skills shortage globally, but I think locally is probably particularly acute as well. How bad is it, and what is ISC2, got it right this time, doing to kind of resolve that? What part are you playing in it?
Right. So the global skills shortage is a severe problem, and it's often not quantified enough for people to really understand. But ISC2 as a professional service organization with over 600,000 members, formal members globally, we conduct a global cybersecurity workforce study every year.
Okay.
And the respondees from this survey is actually people in industry in very senior roles, CISO roles, and so on. And the results that came out, the most recent result shows a deficit of over approximately 3.5 million cybersecurity professionals.
Wow. Okay.
And what is really amazing is we're not looking at, your entry-level professional. These are people that would have to have 3 years plus experience in the field. They would have to understand the fundamentals fully. So just being a graduate of computer science is still not enough to fulfill those roles.
Yeah.
And they found that the disparities globally are also quite alarming. If you look at North America as a zone, obviously, the state of California is where a lot of our digital tech comes from.
Sure.
And being the biggest economy in the world, one state, bigger than Germany, right?
Yeah.
You would expect the demand to be extremely high there because Silicon Valley and things happening there. The demand is absolutely high there, but the study shows that demand in Asia Pac is absolutely gone through the roof.
Okay.
So out of the 3.4 million demand for cybersecurity, certified people, qualified people, about 2.7 million is sitting in Asia Pac.
What is the reason for that? Why?
So it's amazing that the demand seems to be the adoption and good governance in places like Singapore, Southeast Asia. To give you an example, there's 400 CISSPs left in South Africa with the current brain drain, which we know has been started. People talk about dollar millionaires having exited. Mm-hmm. We look at the skilled people leaving. There's 400 left in South Africa.
What was that figure, just to give a bit of context? How high was it before?
So, we probably were over 1,500 at one point.
Wow. Sure.
So we left with 400, and you look at Singapore, which is a little city on the tip of Malaysia. Mm-hmm. They've got 8,000 CISSPs.
Wow.
From ISC2.
Okay.
So the reason for that is probably the move. The governance model is not negotiable. Corruption is not tolerated. High regulatory and legal requirements. Banks, etc., have head offices in Singapore, and these professionals are hired there.
I wonder if there's more, perhaps, kind of higher political level threats there. There's some of the rogue nations that play in those kind of, or are located in those regions.
Right. So I think there's probably the cyber threat is very close to, if you look at the nation states. So from a threat actor perspective, we get, things like script kiddies, which are not professional people trying to, compromise systems. But nation states are very powerful because they have the resources and people. Yeah. So if you look at the proximity to China and North Korea, who are some of the known agitators in terms of offensive behavior on the internet and on the dark web, maybe that's one of the reasons that they're worried about compromise and loss.
Sure.
And then, we'll talk about the high-level effects of the skill shortage. I'll go to into more detail on that. But I think the contributing factors I wanted to mention is the adoption of cloud. Mm-hmm. Particularly in South Africa, a lot of companies are no more running their own data centers.
Yeah.
And at that point, you needed skilled people to work, running as employees in your company. Mm-hmm. Today, you could run that with skilled contractors, but a minute amount of them.
Yeah.
And that has put a demand on people having a much higher skill set. The move to cloud. The other one I want to mention is the emergence of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It became a catchword for the man in the street. Once generative AI became known through ChatGPT, but we've been using it at the back end for quite a while in security. Mm-hmm. And the advantages are for the defenders the ability to crunch these huge amounts of data when it comes to monitoring, and also from the rote repeat kind of tasks that engineers have to contend with. We can automate those and free them up to do more strategic things. So that is the positive part of it, but the negative part has been the impact on the attackers,
Yeah.
having greater threat capability. So these are just some of the factors that are influenced by this global skill shortage. Africa's demand for skills has actually gone down by 7.9%, sorry.
Okay.
And I was wondering why, and I was just thinking, if you look at our current setup, South Africa being the most developed nation, I don't know if you saw recently some statistics were put out that the IT industry has seen a downhill.
Yes, yeah, there was
kind of matches.
ITWeb recently, yeah.
It kind of matches with that local study, matches with what the ISC2 found.
Yeah.
So our demand is not in the millions here. It's about 111,000 throughout Africa is the current shortage of certified cybersecurity staff. Now that is quite crazy thinking about 2.7 million in Asia Pac alone.
Yeah.
So it looks like if people are looking for work, that corner of the globe
Yeah.
be good.
So talking of people looking for work, I mean, you kind of brought me on nicely to one of my next questions. But I mean, South Africa's got this kind of big youth unemployment issue. There is obviously a need for skills in cybersecurity. It's kind of been mentioned numerous times. I've heard it mentioned. I know that there are issues, well, just because there's a job doesn't mean that someone can do it. But is there any way that we could look at kind of marrying those two challenges together to solve the kind of youth unemployment and perhaps move some of them into the need for more cyber skills?
Absolutely. It needs a concerted effort by role players. And it's not a matter of just blaming government, but I would start with government.
Okay.
Not that I'm in the private sector, but I'm not speaking on government. But I think the education system needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
We cannot be training more and more teachers. I heard complaints recently. There's 27,000 teaching graduates waiting for work in the government, right? And there's actually more that have graduated. So we need people to focus on science and technology and mathematics. Africa, the maths literacy of South African students at I don't know if it's grade 4 or so on. We like in the bottom of Africa at the moment.
Okay.
And this is not a good
place to be.
KPI, man.
Yeah.
If we're going to get the people to really adopt computer science and the related fields, mathematics is critical and the sciences are critical. How many PhD students are we putting out per year in computer science? You could count them on these two hands, I guess, throughout the country, which is a sad indictment considering the amount of money we spend on higher education. Government has mechanisms, they're putting money into NSFAS and so on. But why don't we have the people that are going to take us forward to 2030? And for that, we need absolute revamp of the government education sector. The other thing is, I think big is collaboration between the private sector and the public. We need to have more advisory boards. For example, UCT has a very nice advisory board where we in the industry would go on there and give advice so they know in prepping their students is the curriculum fit for purpose and how it's delivered. Because sometimes they deliver it and we bring people, we've got a fantastic intern program. I cannot mention where I work, but when they come fresh out of university, practical skills are non-existent.
Yeah. And that's something that I did want to talk about, is how do we kind of marry that as well? I mean, it's something that I've seen, I can't remember who was complaining about it, but you get like the people coming out with the certifications, the qualifications, but then industry demands 3 years minimum experience.
Right.
And that's the kind of, I think, the missing gap, the hole in the middle. So how do we solve that bit?
Right. So when they come out of university, I think the first thing is students must have an attitude to get involved in the digital world. I interview a lot of people for positions, contractors and people, and you would find that people are, if you're coming to do it just for a salary, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
If the thought of understanding how AWS has built its cloud solution, and you're willing to read a book on that till 3 a.m, you're going to go a long way.
Yes.
The youth of today, they are passionate people, but there are a lot of people who are, I don't think we've provided the right guidance for them.
Okay.
industry and government. So one of the main things there is to ensure that at least the curriculum part is sorted. Then we have this private public sector partnerships that are very important. ISC2, our chapters, provide an inroad into the next very important thing, which is lifelong learning. It says we don't know it all today, so we keep learning for tomorrow. And then ISC2 and many other organizations like our counterparts in the other professional organizations have certifications that ensure a person has demonstrated ability to understand the theory behind it. Mm-hmm. Now, herein lies the problem. We sometimes interview a person that has a degree, experience, mild experience, maybe 2 years experience, and they've got the certification.
Yeah.
But when we delve deeper into it, we can see they haven't been mentored really properly.
Okay.
And the job requirement may be a person may need a certain certification. So we cannot just go by certifications. Soft skills are so important to me. Mm-hmm. The ability to communicate, to take technical directives, convert them into doable actions, work with other people, be open to other views. That for me is more important. So, graduates should take note. These soft skills are becoming even more important with the arrival of AI.
Yeah. Exaggerating that human element, I guess. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I think one thing that I'd like to kind of touch on maybe in the last couple of minutes is we have these skills. I think you said, I can't remember the figure, was it 400 certified professionals here? 1,500 previously, so there's 900 have kind of left. How do we stop that? How do we either stop the brain drain or, maybe attract more people from Africa down to kind of do that? Is that the answer?
So I think we had South Africa is an amazing place with amazing resilient people, and a lot of people really would love to come back if the investment is being put to good use.
Okay.
And I think that is part of our the core problem we face, is that for every rand spent, if people see the ones that have left, if they see, Africa's still a growth engine. Mm-hmm. We're not going to have the growth in Europe or the US. What's still to come here? Mm-hmm. The extent of our digital reach in Africa is still very small. Although we South Africans may think, hey, we're quite advanced. There's a massive company now I mentioned, which is opening a data center not even in a month or two. And a lot of the large companies, the conglomerates, are looking at multi-cloud. Mm-hmm. And they realize, no, we cannot just have one cloud vendor. This is the inroad into high-speed multi-cloud environment that's coming. And the investment will come into SA. By virtue of the development and growth in the digital demand here, there'll be gaps for those people to come back.
Sure.
But if we don't make it worth their while, it's going to take a while for them to come back. But I think if we sort out like the social aspects and so on, and they're going to come back. There's a lot of growth potential in South Africa. I'm still very I'm positive on that.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see over the next couple of weeks what happens in the party coalitions and negotiations and see how that affects things.
Amazing. And I think that people have demonstrated to the world how it should be done.
Yeah. Dinesh, that's been fascinating. That's been great. Thank you for coming.
Great. Thanks so much.
That's Dinesh Govender from ISC2 Gauteng Chapter.